Hello,
Now, started.
hello everyone. Welcome to another Grafana Office Hour sessions. My name is Usman Ahmad, and I work in Grafana as a developer advocate. And today we have someone very special from people you know a lot from Kubernetes, which is known as Traefik Labs, which you use a lot for routing and load balancing. And I'm joined with Nicole. Nicole?
Hi, I'm Nicole van der Hoeven. I also work at Grafana Labs just with Usman. And I'm really excited for this because this is actually the second time we're doing this because the internet ate the last time that we tried this. So, welcome to our friends at Traefik Labs, who thankfully are still our friends despite the first one being eaten.
Yeah.
Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yes, thank you, Nico. I'm Immanuel. I'm a product manager here at Traefik Labs, and I'm happy to be here second time.
Hi everyone. Yeah, my name's Maytham. I'm a solution architect here at Traefik Labs, and yeah, a pleasure to be here. And thank you for guys for having us.
Yeah, thank you. A little background for the context. So I was in a conference last year in December. It's called the API conference in Paris, which is really a big one. And I met Traefik Labs booth there. And what I learned was amazing that they are doing a lot of amazing work, with Grafana. And when I talked to them, that if they are interested, and yeah, and it shows their commitment. They are here second time, despite the fact the first time, as Nicole said, the internet ate all of the videos. So yeah, thank you again. Thank you for coming here again.
Yes, at our booth, we had a TV running with a demo, and at some point, Grafana was visible, and it really stole the show because we did some very interesting stuff, which we will also show in this webinar. So, yes, we did, let's say, an indirect advertisement for you guys.
Well, we're happy to have you on our channel this time. And then I also met you at KubeCon in Europe.
Yes, KubeCon Paris. And actually, when we met, you were printing some 3D models at your booth. So I have this Grafana Labs mascot and this other one. And actually, I have a pair of Grafana socks with me. So
But you still haven't used them.
yes, it's unopened. I kept it like a souvenir. Yeah.
I also was using my Grafana socks today.
Metham and I, we have to wait for our turn.
Oh yeah.
And I'm also, oh, you can't really see. I'm also wearing a
Oh,
Grafana
that's
Oh!
pretty.
shirt,
Well,
which
That's
I
I
got
can
awesome.
at
represent
KubeCon.
Grafana
Thank
here like
you.
this. So I have Grafana. Oh, cool.
I'll be
Yeah,
Okay,
it
so
was great
Maytham,
to
we
meet
won
you.
3-1 Grafana.
yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot in common, right? I mean, of course, our company's names end with lab, so already a good sign. But maybe you can tell us a bit about Traffic Labs and what you do.
Oh yes, and also because you have an open source version of Grafana, that is also a similarity to Traefik Labs because we have the Traefik proxy open source version, which is widely known, and now we are over 3 billion downloads on Docker Hub. We are top 15 image, most downloaded image on Docker Hub, so it's going strong. Since Emil created Traefik proxy in 2016, it gained traction, and we still, even though we have some paid products, we still open source at the core. All of our other offerings built on top of the open source proxy. So yes.
And maybe you can tell us the audience a little bit about like how Traefik Labs get the popularity when it comes to Kubernetes, how it works with Kubernetes, just a little high level information.
Oh, Yes, sure. So the thing is that Emil faced at the time that I'm not sure even Kubernetes was a thing. Even Docker started to become popularity. So the actual challenge was at the time that those reverse proxies, those web servers at the time were not cloud native, were not operating with containers. The dynamic configuration was something that was not existing. Service discovery was in early childhood at that time, and you needed to add manual configuration each time you loaded up a new upstream in your environment with your application, and this is where the need for Traefik was born, because Emil wanted something that highly automated and can operate with thousands of microservices. So we can truly say that it's a truly cloud native solution, and it was born for containers. And now that Kubernetes has gained huge popularity, we even call ourselves Kubernetes native because everything can be configured through Kubernetes CRDs, custom resource definitions, and this is what really differentiates us. And our configuration model also takes into account that pods, containers can come and go. Their life cycle is highly dynamic, and this is what the unique aspect of proxy is, that we have a separate static configuration, which is like a boot time configuration that you set once, and you probably don't need to touch it for the like a lot of time. And then those things that can change frequently, like routing, configuration, new services, new certificates, and so on, all these things that are highly dynamic can go into the dynamic configuration that doesn't require full proxy reload when it's applied. So you don't lose connectivity, you don't lose any active connections, you can maintain high availability, or your SLAs are not affected at all. So yeah.
Yeah, I can only say one thing, that I was also like start using or learn about knowing about Traefik Lab when it comes to routing in Kubernetes, because as you said, it was very dynamic and a lot of manual work needed before, but nowadays it's very much easy. So yeah, thank you for
Yes.
creating a good product.
Thank you. And you know, even the appreciation from the community, all the feedback that we get is very similar to this, that it takes away a lot of manual effort. And probably this is why that now with Rancher's K3D, K3S, this Kubernetes distribution, we are the default ingress. So whoever starts playing with Kubernetes, and even on the edge, you can use it as a default ingress controller, but it can also run on high production workloads in the cloud, different environments like bare metal, virtual machine, HashiCorp Nomad, and Docker Swarm, and so on. So we have many providers supported. So over the years, it became more and more popular, and more providers supported. And yeah, this is something really production ready. And we are now at the third major version, which is, I think, awesome. We can talk about it later.
Immánuel, you mentioned a reverse proxy. Could you also just talk a little bit about what a reverse proxy is and why you might need that?
Yeah, sure. So as soon as you scale up and you start serving your workload not by one server instance, but by multiple one, you want to distribute the traffic. You want to use maybe the same domain name for different services. And because of Microsoft service architecture, there is also the need that now you can put many services behind the same domain, maybe put different services on a separate URL path or serve different versions with the same URI, but with different version headers and so on. So you want to have something acting as a gateway as well, where traffic comes into your infrastructure, so you can put centralized control on top of it, and also when traffic spikes happen, you want to have some rate limiting and so on. You put this component in front of your services, distribute the load, set up some rules, and basically what a reverse proxy does is serving some other backend services, so passing requests back and forth at the simplest explanation, but here lies the value proposition that now you can do a lot of things at the central location. Maytham, as you are a solution architect, do you have some other definition, or you are fine with it?
You pretty much summarized it pretty well. It's like, having the ingress controller. The ingress controller is a way of exposing all your internal services that is hosted on whether your Docker environment or Kubernetes environment out to the outside world in a centralized and more controlled manner. So you can have a central point where all your services can be exposed, and you can control access to these backend services and apply modifications or security layers, and all through a central point.
Yeah, if you think of it, it as a north-south traffic, maybe this is also a term that you can be familiar with.
Yeah. So the reverse proxy, it means that you don't have to expose your application directly. You're like adding a layer between the outside world and your application. And that layer makes it easier to, route the traffic, which I guess is where you got the name, right? And there is that part of it where it's about accessing the right services, but there's also the load balancing kind of bonus for it, right? Because it is also very useful for when you're experiencing your application is under heavy load, because then you can just switch the routes without changing the application.
Yes,
is that right?
Yes, correct. And Maytham mentioned also another interesting term, ingress controller. And that is more or less a Kubernetes native term that now a reverse proxy can also act as an ingress controller. So this is what handles the load coming inside to your cluster. So everything is that comes in, it's like an ingress traffic. There is also egress traffic that leaves the cluster, yes, but this is an ingress controller.
Yeah, and this is like, as you said, it's a normal standard now to know to use this thing in production, because traffic comes in, which is ingress, and going out egress, and you need a controller to distribute the load and also do the routing. And based on that, I think you have some slides for us to tell a little bit more about it.
Yes, if you can bring this up, please. I have a slide showing our product portfolio, because what we were talking about so far is the application proxy. This is the open source version. But as soon as, because a proxy can expose anything, it can expose HTML websites, images, assets, and even APIs. And as soon as you expose more and more APIs, which are basically what powering the internet these days. All the mobile applications connect to APIs, even the web applications with separate front end connect to the backend through APIs, and even machine to machine or LLM AI applications connect to other services through applications. So applications has a main role these days that will probably even intensify as we move forward in time. And for this use case specifically, we have a special product called API Gateway. This is the second one. And this one is specializing in exposing APIs with enterprise-ready middleware or plugins. And now you can add even more authentication. For example, proxy can support basic authentication or other means of authentication, which are good for home lab, which are good for starting to use it. But as soon as you want something enterprise-ready, like OIDC or JSON Web Token-based authentication or OAuth token introspection and so on, you will want to have an API gateway. And even when you reach a state when, you now manage all these things at a central location, you don't need to define authentication on the microservice level. You can move it up to the gateway, the authorization. Then you probably reach a point when you have multitudes of APIs, you have a lot of fleet of APIs, and you want to enforce some other governance, other rate limiting, API versioning, want to have a developer portal when you make all these things discoverable and easily consumable by your internet developers or external ones. And this is when API management comes into the picture. And because everything is based on the open source proxy, it can run in all environments. But what is very unique with us is that we have a model where we have a so to say, a seamless migration journey where you start with proxy, you install it, then you want more, we give you a license key, you do a simple Helm upgrade, and then you land with API gateway. The change it introduces is additive, so you can still have your existing configuration. It understands everything what you did with proxy, but on top of that, you added more configuration, more options to leverage. And then again, we give you a new license, do a Helm upgrade, and that's it. And now you land it with API management, you have a developer portal and so on. But all these have everything what proxy has. So for example, with the latest v3 version release, we added WASM-based plugins, and now WASM-based plugins are available in all the portfolio. But for example, while proxy has a WASM-based plugin as a WAF, Web Application Firewall, as a WASM-based plugin, the API gateway comes with a native integration, which has 23 times more performant than the plugin-based one. So you get additional benefits, more capabilities as you move forward. So this is our portfolio, but I don't want to push the sales side too much. So that's it for me.
No, that's very nice. And the slide you show, so all this management and for example, like I know a little bit about APIs, and one thing which everyone encounter is the rate limit. So do you have like a UI, or how you allow the users to manage the rate limits as an example?
Yeah, so for example, while proxy has a, let's say, simple rate limit that is perfectly usable, which is great, and many people are happy with it, the gateway comes with a distributed rate limit. And how it differs from the, let's say, simple one is that when you scale up, you have more and more proxy instances handling the load, and then with rate limiting, if you set like 50 requests per second rate limit, all these proxy instances will have 50 requests per second rate limit. So you actually open up your infrastructure more and more as you scale up. You can do some manual adjustments, but who likes to do manual adjustments these days? So with distributed rate limit in the API gateway, you have a shared counter that is shared between the replicas. So as you scale up, no matter which instance the request actually hits, the rate limit is counted towards the same counter. So you don't need to make adjustments. The system does it for you. And how you can make sense of it is first, you can see clear configurations through Kubernetes CRDs, or if you run it in Docker Swarm or Docker Compose, you can set some labels which you can put into Git, and you can have a review process over it and so on. But with Traefik, a unique thing, because this is something available also with competition, but a unique thing is that Traefik comes with a web UI where you can actually see the actual running configuration, and this is from the feedback we get, is very useful. People like it, and now you can see if there is something like a misconfiguration you did, or it's easier to start debugging, because now you have a full visibility of everything what's applied.
That's very nice. Yeah, definitely. One thing for sure, nobody likes doing manual work when it comes to deploying in production. Either you delete it or make it work. If you delete it, then you are in deep waters.
Yeah, and you mentioned rate limiting specifically, for example, in API management, the highest level of the journey. You will also get linters, static analyzer, what we call, which you can hook it into Git. Like if you have your repository hosted on GitHub, you can have it as a GitHub action, and then you can run it through when you make a PR, automated checks, so it outputs for you if there is anything like a syntax problem or even deeper understanding. So it's not just syntaxes, but also semantics. When you change a rate limit, which user groups will be affected, and so on. And this is something helpful.
Yeah. So I have a question. On the proxy front, one thing that I've used in the past is Nginx. So what advantages does using Traefik give over using Nginx?
I can say top of mind the level of automation, the verbosity of the configuration. I think with Nginx is pretty high. You get a big boilerplate from where you build up your own configuration. With Traefik, we try to focus on really what matters, come with same defaults, just set what you actually need, and this is something that first comes to mind. Also, the dynamicity of the configuration. Also, the plugin system is a bit different, because in Nginx it's Lua-based, which is a simple language to write code, but with us it's Go-based, either Go-based with the previous plugin system. It's also available even now, but the future, as we see it, is Wesm, because with Wesm you can write your plugins in whatever language you are familiar with, in JavaScript or PHP, whatever you like, and compile it to a Wesm binary, and now Traefik can run it.
So Maytham, are you going to say something?
Yeah, well, he covered it. The dynamic configuration is kind of one of the main differentiator that we normally see, because basically any changes that you make, it get applied on fly, and only if there's any, it doesn't impact any of the other services, which is kind of that's different from the behavior that we see with the Nginx.
And one quick question, as you mentioned, in the new release, the code is, I believe, 20, or the performance is 23 times faster. So is this something also covering like this new Wesm part component as well, or it is just for the core part?
This is specifically for the web application firewall, because now we have a partnership with the Corazza web application firewall. Traefik is now part of the OWASP community organization, and OWASP, you know, the OWASP top 10s for security and so on. We focus on security, and now an OWASP project, Corazza, which is a web application firewall, let's say a successor of mod security, because, you know, mod security has some challenges now. It's deprecated, it's not well maintained, or not even maintained at all, and now Corazza emerged as the new cloud native firewall, and we have an integration. In the open source version, it's a Wesen-based plugin, but in the API gateway, the licensed product, it's now a native integration. So here is the 23 times more performant when you have a native integration, because it's not a different binary you need to call in runtime, but it's built, baked into the Traefik code base. But in Traefik proxy further release, I think it's around 3.2, as far as I remember the plan. We will have fast HTTP support. So this is not something like a secret I'm telling. This was already shared by Emil in our recent webinar. So we did some benchmarks, and with the fast HTTP, it's a new Go binary, new Go library that proxy will use. We will gain 30% more performance compared to Nginx. So this will be huge.
Well, I must say, definitely, you guys are not stopping. You are achieving one milestone after another, which is really nice. And this is how we thrive in the IT world.
Yes, and I must say that we are not a big company, and we depend hugely on the community. So we are very thankful for every and each contribution the community makes. So thank you so much, and keep coming the PRs. We do weekly triage and move forward with these. So thank you. We try to listen.
Nice. Yeah, Nicole.
Well, maybe we could.
Yeah, please.
Maybe we could talk a little bit. Maybe we could zoom out a little bit. You mentioned already that in today's like more modern microservices based architectures, Traefik is particularly useful because it just takes care of a lot of the manual work for you. And maybe we could also zoom out to observability for microservices in general, because this is the space that Traefik would play in. And so does Grafana, by the way.
Yes, and this is how we reach, yes, because now you have a central piece guarding your infrastructure, securing it, and making it observable even. And I think the observability is something you cannot ignore as being in the IT industry, being a DevOps engineer, even as a developer, because as soon as some problems come, you will do some debugging, and where to start. You see some dashboards when the error spike happened, how it was, how it took in the first place, how it happened. And yes, observability, not just metrics where Grafana shines, but also the tracing, logging, and so on is a really big topic. Yeah.
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 And sorry, Maytham, you want to add something here?
Yeah, and I will be covering a part of this in a demo where we go through the different Grafana dashboard that we have developed to provide that centralized view on all the aspects of the application.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one small thing here about when it comes to observability. Yeah, this is something nowadays not can be even ignored by even you have like a simple web application, because there are multiple layers. Like when we talk about Docker even has a lot of layers. If you closely look into it, you can find a lot of useful information, and especially when it comes to talking about on a more higher level or bigger level, like routing, scaling, and load balancing, then you need a component which is observability to check and see everything. And definitely we will be looking forward for the demo. Maytham, excite us.
Yeah, maybe before we start, I share a couple of things. We support Prometheus, StatsD, and Datadog, and InfluxDB, but recently we added OpenTelemetry to the picture, which is a new format to ship metrics, logs, and traces. Maybe it's not new, but for us, the support, previously it was Open Tracing, and now it's OpenTelemetry, and previously it was, I think, Open Metrics, and now it's OpenTelemetry as well. And this is a new standard with the Go SDK that OpenTelemetry provides. Tracing and metrics are production ready. We use it. You can leverage it. It's inside Traefik Proxy v3 as well. And now the logging part of the library is in beta. So whenever it will be stable and usable, we will definitely want to incorporate it. So you will have a standard way to ship all these observability information.
So when you say that Traefik supports these, what exactly do you mean that it's already, that it comes with, you already have pre-configured kind of a YAML? Maytham, I think you're muted.
Yeah,
but you can
yeah.
answer.
So it's a native integration with the tool. So every tool has a standard of how you export these information. So we have it. We implemented this natively in our product. You just need to add one line on how you want to export these information, and it will export it to whatever whether it's a Prometheus or Datadog. It's just the 2 lines of configuration that you add in your static config, and your information would be exposed.
Yeah, so I think that means that pretty much everything, like all the databases in Grafana Labs, would also be supported through OTel, and you already had Prometheus support. So
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yes, and even an interesting thing that Prometheus can ingest OpenTelemetry metrics format natively, and because you can build your Grafana dashboards querying Prometheus with their PromQL language, as soon as you switch the format, how you ship your metrics, it's now not the text-based Prometheus format, but now even binary OpenTelemetry format, your dashboards stay the same. You don't need to change anything.
All right, shall we get into the demo?
Yeah, Maytham, please.
All right. Okay, so today I'm going to show you Traefik Hub API gateway and management capabilities, and how we use Prometheus and Grafana to basically provide visibility into all aspects of API and ingress level metrics. Looking at the Traefik Hub API gateway dashboard, you see a lot of similarities with the open source dashboard. That's if you're used to Traefik open source proxy or application gateway, you will see that it's quite similar. That's because it's based on top of the open source, but it adds many of the enterprise level features. If you look at the, we already have many application exposed through our API gateway. For example, we have our Who Am I app. It gives you kind of a nice overview of how is it exposed, what kind of middleware applied. You can see that we're already using OIDC deployed with a header modification into the request. So the dashboard is kind of, it's great. It gives you a good overview of how your applications are exposed, or how the traffic is handled for each of your backend services. For more advanced API management capabilities that can allow you to manage your API at scale, we have the Traefik Hub dashboard. This is just a simple switch in your API gateway deployment, and that will provide you with this capability where you can manage all your APIs from a centralized view. You can see all your API gateway status, the health, and give you a version check. You can manage all your APIs that is currently deployed on your cluster. You can interact with a different version of the APIs if you have one. You also can see the access control level, and if you have a granular access policy applied, which methods are allowed to group, and also from the access policy, which is the most important thing when you work in an enterprise, is you want to see who has access to these APIs. So this gives you a nice overview on the relation between who's your audience. In this example, we have our support group. They have access to two different APIs, and also they are restricted to a specific method that they can access the APIs. The other thing that we can have from here is a URL for all the API developer portals that you can access. Through the API developer portals, you can access the portal. Each portal is automatically protected using a built-in identity provider, but you can integrate it with a third-party identity provider like Okta or Microsoft Entra ID. Once you log in, you will only be presented with the APIs that is allowed to you based on your access policy that we just went through. So here, the admin has access to all of them. Through the API developer portal, you can actually interact with different versions directly from the portal. You can see the rate limit policy that is applied to you. So you're kind of aware of how many requests that you can use when you're testing. Also, we have the capability of managing an external API. So what I mean by external API is an application that doesn't actually reside on the Kubernetes cluster. So you probably have a few APIs that are running on a VM or a Docker Swarm that you still would like to expose and manage through the hub dashboard and apply all these policies on top. We allow to have the exposing APIs through URL. So now if I log out and try to log back again with the support account, as we saw, the support account has only two APIs allowed to it. And kind of that's the two APIs, and they are restricted to the method that they can use.
Yeah,
so
please click on one of the operations. That's the fun part, because now you can even try this live here and so on. So you get more documentation.
Yeah. So everything that we've deployed, or everything that we've done or saw, is deployed on our Kubernetes cluster. And since Traefik is fully declarative, all the manifest files are hosted in our Git repo, and we have Flux CD deployed in our Kubernetes cluster, and Flux ensure that our Kubernetes cluster is always in sync with our repo cluster, our repo. Having all the files, all the manifest files declaratively defined and hosted in Git allows a centralized place where everyone can collaborate and in one place and develop, make any changes before pushing these changes into the environment. We also offer, I think Immánuel touched on this, a static analyzer that you can run locally on your cluster to provide lintering and change verification, but also you can integrate that one as part of your GitHub's pipeline, what we've done here, we've integrated as part of the GitHub action to run checks every time we try to make a change. So for example, here, if I go and I try to make a change into my distributed rate limit that we have, this is, I can quickly change the limit. So now I had 2,000 requests every 65 seconds, and now I'm going to limit it to 20. This change, obviously, you want to raise a PR request for it. We can raise the PR request, and then you can have a reviewer to ensure that if this change is approved or not. But for the demo purposes, we'll just go with it. And here you can see the static analyzer is running and is doing its job. What part of the job that it does is verify if the configuration is correct, but at the same time provide you with the change assessment. The change assessment show you that line that you've changed, the number that you changed, will have an impact into all these level of APIs. So if this is something that you expect, then that's good. We can go ahead. If this is something that you didn't expect, it kind of prevents from pushing misconfiguration down to your cluster. So it gives you kind of an impact assessment before you actually push it. So now we merge the change, and then Flux will do its job and update our policy. So now,
just one quick question. So, like this example, if a user gives a rate limit which is not bound to it, like maybe the user is only allowed for 2,000 requests and giving itself 5,000. So this also tell the user, okay, these changes are not going to apply because there are limitations placed as well.
And so this will be deployed by the admin. So the admin will have access to modify these access policy. From developer perspective, they probably will have access to only their code to modify. They won't have access to modify the access policies.
Yeah, but for example, within Traefik Labs, we also do the same. We have a repository describing our infrastructure, internal clusters, demo clusters, whatever we have. And anybody, even I have access, Maytham has access. And in case we want to introduce some change or improve anything or ask for anything, then we can open a PR, and the developer, the DevOps engineers, the platform team checks the change, and if they approve, then they merge. But this is very helpful for them because they don't need to, maybe you, as Maytham did, just changed one number, but the effect is so wide that now it's very visible who will be affected. Maybe you just wanted to increase Maytham's rate limit, but it turns out that you would increase everyone's, so you can spot this easily.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. This is very helpful. Yeah, please continue.
Very. Yeah. So now you won't have a centralized API governance without knowing how your API is actually performing, and here where observability comes into play. So as you can see, we've developed multiple dashboards. I know, sexy. So we have a multiple dashboard that we've developed, and it's available in the Grafana Lab website that user can download. The dashboard will give you a good baseline into your API level performance and how the API is behaving. So from here you can see the error rate, latency, the request processing you're getting, and it's basically which APIs are currently being accessed by different applications. You also here you notice that the red line, that's the beauty that having work with the Grafana, that you can integrate multiple applications in one dashboard to see the effect of a change into how that change reflects into your performance. So here you can see that we created that pull request just now to modify the rate limit, and that got reflected into our setup. Also, we have an API level dashboard where you can drill down into each specific API to see how that API is behaving, and also a user level a dashboard to see how what each user is pushing, what type of traffic, and we'll go through how each of these users are pushing.
And these are like just the starter pack, so you can build on top of it whatever you like. We don't know your exact use case. Maybe you want something more. Maybe you don't like pie charts, whatever. So this is just for a start. You can quickly import it from the Grafana Cloud marketplace, and it's free. It's there. Even if you want to change something in the defaults, it's hosted on GitHub in the Traefik Git organization, so you can make changes to it, and
these the data it's coming from Prometheus, I believe, right?
It's coming from Prometheus, but the data actually shipped with OpenTelemetry to the Prometheus instance, and there is no OpenTelemetry collector involved in this right now for the sake of this simple demonstration. But of course, you can put OpenTelemetry collector, which is a tool that can filter your metrics, annotate those, make some computations, enrich all these things you collect. So it's another good piece of software that you can leverage. And here the red lines are coming from the GitHub data source because you support a lot of data sources, and one of them is GitHub. So this is how it appears. But in another setup, we usually configure Flux with annotations pushed through a Grafana service account through the Grafana API. So you can even see when a reconciliation event happened through Flux, even though there was no change, but maybe Flux checked the state of your Git repository and made sure that it's the required state inside your cluster. You can have all these events, and the end is your imagination.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I really love the use of annotation like that marks like, okay, there is your GitHub request you did. And you mentioned this dashboard is like a default dashboard which comes which is available for users to download and play it. It's
Correct.
nice.
Yeah. So this is kind of like a baseline. They give you a baseline if you're starting to trying to monitor your APIs. Give you a good information. But as Immánuel mentioned, this is you can customize it and you can do whatever you want with it. So yeah, the part of the now you notice that the error rate for all the APIs went all into 100. So we know the employer API was always 100 because we applied very aggressive rate limit policy, but all the other APIs are going into error rates. So they clearly see that we made a change in the environment that had an impact into the performance of these APIs. So we could easily roll back, since everything is declaratively defined and hosted into our Git repo. You can go into the red line. You see that it's a pull request 10, it's highlighted there. And this is the pull request that we've generated. We can roll back our changes pretty quickly, which will basically go through the same process of analyzing the impact of rolling back the changes. And you'll see that we're going to change our access policy, rate limit policy from 20 back into 2000. So now that's basically what it's doing. So once we're happy with it, we're going to merge the change, and Flux will do its magic and apply these changes will be reflected eventually into this, and we expect the behavior, the environment to go back. So while we wait for sorry.
So this event correlation is really great in the incident mitigation process, because now you did not resolve the issue, you just mitigated it. You return back to a last working state, but you still did not solve it. But now, because everything is versioned in Git, you can deploy the previous configuration to a separate cluster, or have some investigation, run it, send it to your developers, open a Jira ticket, or whatever your process is. And now you can check what actually caused this problem, because here it was clear, it was an easy demo use case, but maybe it caused something inside your application. Maybe it's something deep down in your application code. And now you have time to investigate, but you can ensure that production is not disrupted, or just disrupted for the least amount of time possible, because you can easily roll back.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing which can be added further or can be extended further is for troubleshooting is to check the logs. And there is also Loki by Grafana Labs, which you can use to check the logs and see, okay, exactly what errors are coming, and you can actually pretty much visualize it instead of like the traditional ways to go on terminal and check it out. But with Loki, you can also put that also in this hub dashboard, like as a part, and use it as well.
Yes,
Yeah, I
and
mean all the things too, tempo as well for
Oh, yeah.
tracing.
oh yes, and as in the background, we are also working on publishing some guides, and this is a use case we want to include to make it available to everybody who wants to play with it. We explain how to install this and that component, and something also planned. We will use Loki to display logs from the agent. So yeah,
Oh, nice.
you already told what we are planning. Yeah.
See,
Oh,
I can
great.
read your mind.
Yes,
We'll have to have you back for that.
yes,
Yeah.
and I can
You'll be
also
part of
tell
it.
that our infrastructure team with our products are inside the company using Loki as well. We are using the Grafana Cloud for monitoring, and also some integrations with alerting, Opsgenie, and yeah, this is how the on-call rotation is built on top of the alerts raised from Grafana and so on. So yeah, this is very useful piece of software.
Yes, I mean,
Oh, and
just a small info on the Grafana cloud side. Definitely, it makes more sense if, especially when you are deep diving in the world of Kubernetes, because Grafana cloud gives you more options for the Kubernetes deployment and management part. Like you can actually work more automated way than rather than doing a lot of manual tasks. So yeah.
so I see while we've been talking, that commit, we can now see that annotated in the error rate, and as expected, it looks like those two APIs at least have recovered.
Yep. So that's the beauty of having this annotation, so you know exactly how your environment is behaving.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you were also using Flux. I think Flux has Flagger as well, right?
Yes.
So if you were a little bit, I mean, this is a demo, but if you were a little bit more conservative, you could, have Canary deployment and also track the progress of that one, so that you wouldn't see like 100% error rate.
Yes,
But
and you can even do an yeah, sorry, and you can even do an automated rollback. On the Flagger documentation, you have a guide explained how you can do it with Traefik. And this does not mean that we only support Flagger, or you can do it with Flagger if you have Argo CD. Argo Rollouts also has a guide with Traefik. So everything, anything you use basically can be applied, because it's now configuration. The tool is just executing all these.
And yeah, one more thing that I want to add is all that the traffic generated by the two users is we using the K6.
Wow.
So by Grafana, which is it's surprisingly a super easy tool to actually. So you don't need to be a very expert, but yeah, if you kind of know JavaScript, basic JavaScript, you can write your own, and the documentation on the website is great. So basically, this is it's a basic script that I'm developed.
I still love to hear that.
Yeah, and you can just use to test it, and you will end up with a graph like this, which is great. Great for demos.
Yeah.
And testing.
Yeah, so I think K6 is often talked about only in the context of load testing, but it doesn't have to, you don't have to have thousands and thousands of users for it to be useful. I feel like it's also just a kind of a good all-around tool for SREs or anyone that just wants to figure out how the system is responding.
100%. So yeah, we love the Grafana Labs tools, and we use them every day in our, for me, I use them every day with my demo, when I talk with customers and explore different aspects in terms of the performance and how the applications is behaving when we do a POC. So it's great.
Yes, and even I can tell that in my home lab, I'm a home lab enthusiast and also part-time DevOps engineer in my own over-engineered home infrastructure, which is totally unneeded, unnecessary, but it's a good way of learning and keeping up to date with the technology. So I have at least 2 Grafana instances running, one for my hypervisor and monitoring Proxmox through InfluxD and what is going on. I even wrote some custom bash scripts sending in data about
nice.
my UPS. I even checked the local IKEA stores because, you know, IKEA
Oh, wow.
IKEA has an API where you can get, at least in Hungary, you can get the amount of people, how many people are in the different stores. So I monitor the rate, so I know when to go when there is not
Oh,
that many people.
Oh, I have to
Wow.
use this like on the Saturday shopping malls.
Oh yes, 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 and it was very, very useful because after COVID, people started to rush into IKEA, and now I could know
Yeah.
when should I go, and also monitoring my email infrastructure, which I self-host, other things, my internet connection. I run a speed test in every 10 minutes, so I know if my service is all right. But I
Oh,
also run my own
cool.
Kubernetes cluster, and using the Prometheus operator and the mixin that comes with it, which pre-populates Grafana with lots of dashboards related to Kubernetes. And for example, this is how I learned that I need a better drive for my Kubernetes cluster, because the etcd, the database powering Kubernetes, there is a dashboard in Grafana that you can see, and the synchronization, the IO synchronization was too high, and this is where I learned that, okay, I need to put it on an NVMe drive, and since then it's rock solid. So it actually helped solving even use cases for my homeland.
Yeah, no, and definitely, I just want to add one thing. Like we speak a little bit in the beginning about like traffic and Kubernetes, and I'm so happy. So I also use Kubernetes, but now I have totally switched to K3s, which comes with integration of traffic ingress, and I love it because it makes the job so easy. Because the past, but I don't want to the names, but it was pretty much hectic. Most of the time, it does not work. So yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and on the special use cases, I remember when printing these 3D objects, you were monitoring the 3D printer, the temperature of the printer
Yeah.
head, and so on. So it was fun, yeah.
Yeah. So what Immanuel is talking about is in a lot of conferences, actually, we partner with Prusa, who make these really awesome 3D printers. I'm actually looking at maybe buying one. I'm trying to resist, but they're super cool. They normally, like, those 3D printers have nothing to do with observability, except that the Prusa people are using Grafana to monitor everything, like monitor the temperature of the machine, and then how many, the battery, the energy consumption, how many files they've gone through, how much longer it'll take before something's printed. And it's just a really cool thing because it's like visual but then also tactile, because you see the final result, which isn't what we normally do for we don't normally have that when we're just measuring these virtual systems. So it's kind of a cool way to see it in physical form, and Immanuel has it. Two of them.
Awesome.
Nice.
But I also wanted to ask about zero trust, and there's been a lot of interest in zero trust now, and the ability, like, people are getting more concerned about security and having verification that doesn't require any trust. Maybe Maytham, you could talk a little bit about that, and then also how Traefik fits into that picture.
So with the traffic, we centralize the access policies, and we can lock it down into a specific method. So that the only authorized user can actually access this specific service and use this specific method. And by having a centralized environment, you can offload all these security aspects from your backend services and have it all in one place where you can view and audit and verify and monitor as well, to ensure that only authorized users can access the service.
Yes, and in Proxy v3, we even have Tailscale integration. You can find more details about it on our blog and in the proxy documentation. And if you're not familiar with Tailscale, it's a VPN like mesh network over WireGuard, and now Traefik has native support for it.
And
Awesome.
and I have one question. So definitely both like Grafana Labs is also love the community. A lot of features in Grafana comes from the community, and we also learn a lot from the community as well. Maybe Immanuel or Maytham, both of you can explain and guide the audience, like if someone is new to Traefik Labs, where they can learn it, and maybe how to join the community site as well.
Yeah, so if you are new to Traefik, or even if you want to learn some advanced load balancing terms and how it works, we have Traefik Academy, completely free video courses. You can find it in the Learn section of our website. You can sign up and get access to Udemy-like experience, some courses, some lessons, some checking questions, and it's interactive tutorial which you can follow and learn about these concepts. Also, we have a community forum where you can ask questions. Of course, there is our GitHub where you can raise issues, bug reports, send feature requests, or even send PRs that are very, very welcome. And we always highlight who contributed this and that feature. So these are always welcome. And yeah, you can sign up to some mailing lists and so on. And there is I think even a Discord somewhere. I'm not inside that server, but I think you can even join that with the Traefik ambassadors who are the most enthusiast Traefik users.
Yeah, and also on our Grafana website, Grafana dashboards, we have some dashboards available for which can be used for Traefik Labs, like the hub one, which is the primary one. But there are some community-based dashboard as well, which users can also use to try it out and see which works best in their ecosystem. So yeah, that's also very useful info for audience.
Yes, and always there is the documentation.
Well, thank you so much for coming back a second time
Yes,
to talk to
and
us
if you
about
want to
all of
meet us
this.
in person, we will be there at we will be at API Days London, and then KubeCon North America, Salt Lake City in November, and then API Days Paris in December. So come to our booth and find us, and we will go to yours and get some more swag.
Yes, absolutely. And if I'm there, you can find me, and maybe I'll give you secret swag again, like like the little 3D printed bra.
Nice.
You know, that's only normally for internal graphanistas, you know.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
All right. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much. I think in the next Grafana Office Hours, we're going to be talking about low-key deployments. I'm going to be doing it with our other coworker, Jay Clifford, and we are having Ed Welsh on, who's one of the OG developers on Loki. He's going to be talking about how to deploy Loki and just some best practices for the years that he spent looking at other people's Loki deployments in production. Thank you all for watching. We will see you next time. Thank you, everybody, for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank you,
inviting
guys.
us. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.